Hey everyone, it's Gary House, the Outdoor Cook, and today I'm doing a little grill cue. I know, not traditional barbecue, not traditional grilling, but we're calling it grill cue. I'm using The Beast, my new smoker from thebeast.com, and I'm also going to be using coconut charcoal briquettes. And what we're doing is we're going to make some baby backs with a little bit of an Asian flair. Check this out. Gary House, the Outdoor Cook, Cooking Everything Outdoors show. I hope you try this at home. Okay, first thing we got to do is get our charcoal going. The coconut charcoal lights the same as any regular charcoal, so no difficulties there. I'm going to use a charcoal chimney and a little bit of paper, and we'll get that fired up in no time. This whole cooking process is not going to take a lot of charcoal, so I'm probably only going to light maybe 15 or so to start with. And that's it. We'll get it going. Okay, it's time for a little grill cue. We're going to be doing our Asian flavored baby back ribs. I got two beautiful racks of ribs that I'm going to be cooking for you. But before I get started, I want to give full credit for this recipe. It's not mine. I found this on tasteofhome.com when I was doing my research for this. I wanted something with a little Asian flair. Didn't really want to go just teriyaki ribs. Didn't sound quite right. So I found this recipe. This is by Esther Danielson of San Marcos, California. So Esther, this is your recipe. You get full credit for it. If I screw it up, girl, I'm sorry, but all the reviews and everything I see, it looks like it's a solid recipe. So first thing we're going to put on our ribs is a coating, if you will. It's kind of it's a sauce, really. It's a very thick sauce. We're going to be using 4.5 teaspoons of molasses. We're going to be using a teaspoon of onion powder, tablespoon of garlic salt, and a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. So let me get this going, and then we're going to coat our ribs, put them on the beast, if you will. So first thing is this goop, our molasses. This is a dark molasses. Recipe didn't really say if it was a dark or a light. So heck with it, we're going dark. 1, 2, 3, 4, and extra is what it is. Okay, the hard part here is using the same thing again. You know, if this was like honey, we could just lick it off. But it isn't, and I'm not. So I'm kind of working in the shadow today. It's screaming hot out there. It's really April weather, but I'm doing this in June. So I got a little bit about a 90-degree weather out there, and I'm just not ready for it. Let me wipe this off real quick. Made a mess, as always I made a mess. Okay, so right now I'm going to need a tablespoon of garlic salt. That's a lot, but that's okay. Now this one has a little bit of parsley mixed in it, so it's not pure garlic salt. A little bit of a deviation there. I need a teaspoon of onion powder. Teaspoon there. And Worcestershire, it takes a teaspoon of this. Okay. So let's get this mixed up, and this is just a coating. I think it's really for one rack of ribs, so I'm hoping I can stretch it over two. If not, I'll have to do this twice real quick, but I'm thinking it's going to be pretty darn good. These ribs, according to the original recipe, you're supposed to cover and bake at 325 for 50 to 60 minutes, and I'm not doing that. I'm going to offset smoke this at a fairly high temperature for probably, I'm thinking about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and until they just start pulling back and stuff. But you can see these ribs, two beautiful flies included rack of ribs, baby backs. I've already peeled the membrane off the back of that, so let's get these coated up real quick. And we're just gonna yeah, this is only gonna be good for one. I gotta make another quick batch. But we'll just get these slopped up, and the color that I think this molasses is going to add will be quite nice. And I should have done the back first. So it's going to take another batch of this. So I'm going to make another batch of this molasses to coat my ribs, and we'll be right back and we'll throw them on the grill. Okay. Got my coating on my ribs. Now I'm going to put it on the beast with my coconut charcoal. I'm going to dump my charcoal out. I'm probably going to have a little pile off to the side of about, I'm going to say maybe there's 15 in there. So you get that knocked out. Okay, there's about 15. I'm going to add a couple more to keep this going. Another 5 or 6. I don't know if I've showed you these before, but they look just like a regular, let's see if you can see that, looks like just like a regular charcoal briquette. Nice thing about these, they're made from coconut, and it's actually a byproduct, as I understand, from the water filtration business or industry. And they bind these with cornstarch. So that's just it, coconut product and cornstarch. So very, very nice. They burn extremely well. They're not quite going to give me a huge amount of smokiness that you're going to get from lump charcoal, but I don't want a lump charcoal smell. I don't want a heavy, heavy smoky smell to this. I'm going to, maybe 30 minutes from now, I'm going to put some cherry chips on there to get a little bit of smoke. We're offset smoking on this, if you will. So my heat source is here. There's no venting in the hood, so it's going to catch and billow up into the hood, and then it's going to go out the side stack, which is down low on the beast, and then come out the top, and I'll regulate that from the side over here, and that'll go out the chimney. So you can see it's smoking up a little bit right now. I'm going to get the ribs on. I've already seasoned this grill, and these sticky molassesy ribs are going to be just fantastic. So let's get this on here. And I'll be rotating these ribs as they cook. Right now I have the fat side towards the heat source. So let me get this closed up. I'm going to do a little cleanup, and we're going to come back in a little while and see how we're doing. Okay, ribs have been on for an hour, and it's time to add a little bit of smoke. Yeah, we've got the heat there. We're cooking at about 225, 230, around there, so it's really low. I'm going to get some smoke on there. Maybe another hour for the ribs to cook. So let's take a quick look here and see how we're doing. Okay. Cooking up very nicely. Now, chips are a thing of, let me close this, I don't want to lose too much more heat, of argument and contention among a lot of people. I've put chips on dry, and I've put them on soaked. You're going to have to find what works for you and what you like. I like them wet or soaked. They seem to give off a sweeter, smoky smell. When I put them on dry, they tend to burn a lot more. I get a lot faster, more intense smoke, and it's a little bit more harsh, in my opinion. whatever you decide to do is entirely up to you. So sometimes I do a combination. In fact, I'm probably going to do that right now. I'm going to put some wet chips on and some dry chips so I get a nice blend on there. So just a small handful. And a smaller handful of dried chips. And we're going to let those cook for another hour. It's looking good. Okay, now we need to make our glaze. Ribs, been cooking about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours now. At about 225, 250. It's been fluctuating a little bit around there. Been adding some cherry chips to it about every half hour. Put a little handful of half wet, half dry. Get some smoke in there, not a lot. Now I'm going to make a double batch of the glaze. I'm going to put that on there, and then once that glaze is perking, I'm going to grill some fruit. Nice. Okay, so this recipe calls for a half a cup of reduced sodium soy sauce. I have half a cup of soy sauce, not reduced sodium. So here's a quarter. I think because I got 2 ribs, I'm going to make a double batch of this, and I'm going to use some of this on my fruit. So there's a half a cup. Just double this bad boy up. There's 1 cup. Okay, 3 tablespoons pineapple concentrate. So that's probably going to take this whole thing. Nah, I'm not going to take the whole thing. But I want to get 6 in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. I'm getting hungry. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, we're doubling this up. 2 tablespoons of hoisin sauce. A little thicker. Clean this spoon off a little bit. And that ain't gonna work. So let's see. I need 1, 2, 3, 4. A little messy, as always. And ketchup, 2 tablespoons. Nice organic ketchup. Not a lot of that extra sugar. 2, 3, 4. Teaspoon of lemon juice. 2 teaspoons is what we need now. We're gonna kind of wing it on that one. About there. I need a teaspoon stone ground mustard, so 2 teaspoons. 1, 2. Teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. 1, 2. Now we're going to need need some fresh ginger. So we'll get the ginger out. It takes about a teaspoon. So we'll get this going here. Also, it requires garlic. And I don't have any garlic right now, so I don't know how much that's going to affect this recipe, but we'll see. So I'll get this finished. Wow, ginger smells so good, and it imparts such an incredible flavor to it. This is a micro grater, and it's going to be a lot smaller than the recipe calls for. It asks for minced, but I think that we're going to get a lot more flavor out of it this way. Let's get that in there and blend it all up. Oh. That chunk we don't need in there. I'll have to say about the coconut charcoal. It has been performing admirably. Very consistent burn. Got some good high heat out of relatively few amounts, few pieces of charcoal. So it's been a consistent performer. Doesn't have that traditional charcoal taint, if you will. You know, everybody loves the flavor from charcoal, but unless there's actually wood product in there, it's not the best tasting thing in the world. Okay, so I have a good amount of ginger there. And I'll get this all stirred up. Get it stirred up and thickened up, and then we'll put it on our ribs. I'll cut some fruit up and we'll start going for it. Okay, so I have got a nectarines and some pears, beautiful looking pears. I'm going to just cut them in half, and I'm going to grill those. And for grill Q, that means I'm going to use some direct heat. You know, offset smoking on my ribs. So I need to put my other grate on the side with the coals. We're going to get this heated up. Just drops in place, one of the nice things about that. And then on my fruit, it's simply a matter of, on the nectarines, seeding that out. And easier said than done, but it does come out nicely if you're somewhat gentle. I highly recommend using a smaller knife, but it is what it is, and be very careful when you're taking your seeds out of your fruit. Because you can end up with this in the palm of your hand and be at the emergency room while the ribs are burning. And this one is more stubborn than normal. So, okay, that seed's out. Lost some of my fruit there in the process, but that's okay. Oh man, that's good. That is good, 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 good. Okay, one more. And I find it with the fruit somewhat firmer, makes it easier to seed, but it does not necessarily make it good grilled. So you're kind of in a rock and a hard spot there. And let's one of the things you can do is you can cut it somewhat like a mango. You know, a mango has the fruit there, and you can go down the sides of it. And it does make it easier. You get nicer, more prettier cuts of fruit, but you do lose a lot in the process. But that's okay, because that means it's more for a chef, or in my case, a cook. So those are looking good. Now pears, a lot nicer. I cut the stem off, cut the base off, give that a cut there, and just try to core out the center and the seeds a little bit. Once I've got that out, I'll get this fruit on the grill. It really doesn't take much to get on a pear. It's a pretty simple process. And if I would have had a smaller cutting board, I would have got it. We're doing good. I'm losing light pretty quick. But the ribs are just about done. They're probably at the point where I could pull them now. I'm going to glaze them up a little bit more. I'm still cooking at fairly low temps. Okay, so we have our fruit. I have my glaze. I'm now going to put that on the beast, and I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so we've got about 3 coatings of the glaze on the ribs, and I've flipped my fruit over, and I've put some of the glaze on the fruit just to give it a little bit of an accent. I have some rice going. We're going to plate this up in a couple minutes. The flies are absolutely crazy right now, but let's take a look. That is beautiful. Okay, we're almost done. A couple minutes and we'll have this plated up. Okay, time to pull the ribs. I've already pulled the fruit. You can see how beautiful that is. I know I'm losing the light, I'm sorry guys, gals. But fruit is spot on. One of my nectarines got a little overdone. It is what it is. Look at those babies. We're talking Asian-inspired ribs. I'm going to let these sit for a couple minutes. I'm going to cut them up and we'll plate it. Okay, before we lose any more light, let's cut a rack of these up and see how we did. Extremely hot. Oh, nice. Let's find my mark. Cutting them seems to be no problem. Okay. Yum. Let's serve these up. Okay. So you ask, why rice? Why not? Yeah, I love rice. I have rice with everything. That isn't looking good. We got issues. A little piece of our pear. A couple pears. And there you go. That. Oh, forgot. Gotta have a little green onion. We did it. Took a couple hours. Half 100 flies. Asian inspired baby back ribs. Rice in the kitchen. Oh well, forgive me. Grilled pears with a little of the glaze on it. I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat. So get out of the kitchen, light the fire, and start cooking outdoors. This is Gary House, the Outdoor Cook. We'll see ya.